Hi folks, my name is Gerdes and here's a daily brief. So yesterday I didn't talk about the Ukrainian missiles that hit in Crimea. Belbek airfield in Crimea was targeted, and here it is on the map, and here's in Igor Shusko talking about Ukrainian air-launched cruise missiles struck the Belbek airfield, and it killed a number of Russian soldiers and apparently destroyed two Su-27s. Now, so when I was looking at it, there was surprisingly a dearth of information in published news. You saw some things on Twitter, and so because I'm always trying to see what's in mainstream or published news, and rather than relying on Twitter, I was slow to the party and I was tied up with students, and so I saw a few articles. Here's in Al Jazeera talking about it. Destroyed 20. Russia said it destroyed 20 missiles. Well, they always say they destroyed however many missiles, even if that missile destroyed a plane in the process, over the Black Sea and Crimean Peninsula, which Moscow invaded in 2014 and then annexed. The Ukraine's Air Force commander said its forces struck Belbek airfield, but he didn't go into detail. But I did direct you to go see Dennis because I had to run off to class, and so I said, look, I didn't cover this. I was tied up. I had to go to class. But he did a pretty good job trying to explain the situation, so I didn't feel like I needed to. Then after that, there was also some other strikes, like the Ukrainian naval kamikaze drones reportedly destroyed, damaged the missile boat Innovets. And you see this a couple of times. You see this on reputable channels like Noel Reports and Anton Gurashenko showing the same thing. But then if you look at the mainstream media, you see nothing about Innovets. If you look at naval drone strike, you don't really see anything. You see something about maybe looking at Taiwan or Middle East, but you don't see it. But it's there in Twitter, so I'm waiting for more to come through mainstream media, and that makes me slow to the party, but hopefully a bit more accurate. The World Court dismissed much of Ukraine's case against Russia. Here we're talking about the Flight 117 and asking for Russia to be considered funding terrorists, and they really didn't take up what they were hoping they would take up. Now, while there wasn't much of an effect at the ICC, what's really fascinating is this article that Armenia joined the International Criminal Court. Now, Armenia was a close ally of Russia, and because they're joining the International Criminal Court, if Putin steps foot on Armenian soil, it's obligated to arrest him. So that's quite a snub to Putin. Ukraine's ground commander declined to replace his boss as army chief. Of course, the source, who requested anonymity to discuss sensitive matters, was unable to say how or when the job offer was communicated to Syrskyi, but that's a remarkable thing that Syrskyi would have turned down the job. Okay, last article, Russia and Ukraine exchanged POWs after a plane crash prevented the last swap. These were not the same POWs that were listed, but something about the list just doesn't make any sense. Like, some people were duplicated from previous lists. I think this was just a hurry-up offense on the part of the Russians trying to say that there were 65 prisoners, and they're still talking about that. Maybe I'll talk about that tonight. There were still talk in Russian media today. They were still talking about the 65 prisoners that were killed in that explosion. Yeah, it's a really odd narrative to watch. Okay, that's the daily brief for today. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.